Now for the pages, I will show you how to create the pages with the Astra and Elementor, and this is where we'll start creating Elementor. Alright, so first of all you need to install the Elementor, so let's just go back. And from here what you want to do is to hover over to this plugins option right here and be sure you have this Elementor installed. For that you can just click on this add plugin and from here just search for Elementor, or you can find it here. And then click on this install now and activate this. In my case I am also using Elementor Pro alongside this. So if you need the access to Elementor Pro, I'll drop the link of this plugin in the description of this video. You can download it from here. Now that we have it here, you can just go to this pages option and then where it says home, just click on this edit. And once you will click on edit, where it says templates, just click on default template and make sure you click on Elementor full width. And then from here just click save. And once you will click save, you can basically click on edit with Elementor. Now I'll just have to go back to our reference website because that is basically what we are going to create. So let's just go there, and then under this drive I have this image created, so I'm just going to download this image from there. Alright, so here you can see our Elementor page builder is loaded. You can just close this, and we need this structure panel, so I'm not going to close this, and we have this panel right here. Elementor page builder is very user friendly page builder, and you will understand why. So here you can see, if I go here, you can see we have 1 and 2 columns right here and a big section at the bottom. So for that just click on this plus icon, click on flexbox, and under the flexbox option you can see we have these grids or the containers given. Now here you can see we have this big container right here and then a small container containing the image. So we can just pick this 50% right here, and then first of all what we actually want to do is to insert the font color in the background. So here you can see under the theme brand you can select this color, and then what we can do is to start inserting our text. So click on this plus icon and where it says heading, insert the heading right here, and there you can see this is where our heading is looking. Click on this style and change the color to the white color. So there you can see we have the white color, and then we have this copy. Of course for the copy I'll have to use their content that they have on the website. So I'll just copy this content from here and I'll insert the content right here, something like this. Now they also have a subheading, so I'll copy the subheading and I'll basically duplicate this and insert the subheading right here, and I'll have to increase the size of this one. So go to the style option, typography, and I'll change it to 48 pixels right here, and this one looks fine. I don't actually want to change the size of this thing. And then we have this button, fix my credit, so we'll have to insert the button. So here under the button, insert the button right here, and there you can see this is how the button looks. Go to the style option, under the color options you can change the color. So I'm going to change its color to the white color, and then the font color will be the blue color, something like this. And then where it says contact, for the contact we are going to change it to fix my credit. So here's another thing that I want to tell you is that we'll have to add the global settings for the Elementor as well, because I don't actually want to keep editing the style option for each of these elements that we are adding on the page. So in order to do that, hover over to this site settings, and once you will click on site settings, here under the global colors you can see we have these global color options. So for these global color options I'll just click on this customize option right here, because I'm going to copy all of these settings that we did here. I'll copy this brand color from here. Under the Elementor where it says primary, I'll change the primary color, and then for the secondary color I'll just copy this secondary color and insert the secondary color right there. And then we have this body text color. I'll just copy this body text color from here and insert the body text color right here. Then we have this accent color. So for the accent color we are going to use a very light kind of color, something like this. So I'll just copy this accent color and insert the accent color right there. And then I also want to insert a white color, so I'll just add an entire white color and I'll label it as white. And then I can just click on this save changes. You will require to insert this global setting in the Elementor as well, so that Elementor works fine with your Astra theme. Now under this global option for the fonts, we can just go back from there, and where it says typography, remember we are using Helvetica for everything. So under the primary option right here, you can see it is set to Roboto. We can just change it to Helvetica. And we have this size of 17 pixels right here, with the line height that I want to give it is 1.3 am. And it says weight 600. I actually want to make it normal, because this is our, let's just keep it 600 because this is primary font. For the secondary font, I'll just keep it Helvetica because that's the consistent font that we are using. For the text font, again we are using Helvetica, and for this font we are definitely using 17 pixels. Then for this accent font, we are also using Helvetica, so I'll just pick Helvetica from here, and once done you can just click on save changes. Once the changes will get saved, you can basically go back and you can just cross this. Now there we are, you can see our fonts are here, so just click here. Here you can see it says Roboto. You can just click on back to default and this will change it back to default. Now if I click here under the pencil icon, you can just click this primary option and then you can edit other options. So let me just insert a new heading right here. So let's insert a new heading, plus and insert the heading. We have this heading, click on color, and I'm going to change that to the white color that we have, and then I'll just copy this text from here and I'll insert this text right there, and I'll get rid of this and remove this. Now for this heading right here, you can just click on pencil icon. You can see we have this Helvetica, and I'll change it to 42 pixels right there. Wanna do the same thing here, so click on tiny pencil icon. You can see we have Helvetica, and I'll make it 36. I guess we'll have to increase the size of this one, so I'll just increase its size, and we'll have to reduce this line height so it looks fine. Now we have this button right here. For this button, for the buttons we are using the uppercase, so click on this transform and change it to the uppercase option right here. The font size will be 17 pixels, and then we'll have to adjust the padding. So for the padding, I'm going to give it 17 pixels from the top and 17 pixels from the bottom, 30 pixels on the left and 30 pixels on the right. Then we are going to give it a radius of 40 pixels, and this is how you can see it looks. And then another thing that I'm going to do is to change the weight to 600, and then when we hover over, I want the color should change to this secondary color and the text color should change to the white color, something like this. And then we can also insert the hover animation like this grow animation, so when you hover over, this should grow, something like this. Anyways, so this is basically you can insert the headings. Now that we have our headings in place, let's just reduce the spacing between both of these two. Click on this advanced and make it -10 pixels, and this should reduce the spacing between these options. Now let's just go here, and now here you can see we have this image right here, so we want to insert the image right there. So I'll just drag and insert the image right there, and then you can click plus, upload image, select file, and then this is the file that we need to import. Now we can just click on this select, and then this is how you can see this is looking. For this heading right here, if you look at it, you can see we have this big width right here, and then we have this small width right here. So if you click on this container right here, I wanted to change it to 70%, and this one will change to 30%, something like this. And now for every of these containers, click on this parent container, go to layout and change it to align center, and now you can see everything is aligned in the center. The only thing that I want to do is to reduce the width to 60%, so this shouldn't look that tiny. This should look something like this. Now we can also adjust the spacing, so click on this container right there, and then what you actually want to do, remember we are using 1320 pixels, so this is 1320 pixels. For this image you can reduce the image width, so reduce this image width to 60%, however you want to do it. And then we can insert some padding for this container. Go to this advanced option, go to this padding, and then in here at the top I want to insert 5 pixels, and at the bottom I also want to insert 5 pixels, something like this, or I do not need any padding right here. Now if you look at it, you can see we have this mobile screenshot is coming out of this blue background that is there. We are going to achieve something like this. For that, click on this image, click on advanced, click on margin and add the negative bottom margin, and this will basically take your screenshot, image screenshot out of this container. So I'm going to give it -70 and I'm going to increase the width just a bit, so it should look something like this. Alright, now if you look at it, you can see this is basically how it looks. Once done, you can just click on this publish right here. Once you will click on this publish option, we can start creating other sections. Now under this section, you can see we have these 3 columns right here, or 3 containers. So click on this plus, click on flexbox, and then in here you will have this option with these 3 containers. So click on these 3 containers. First of all, click on this image, and here you can see we are using -70, so we'll need to insert the 70 pixels margin at the top. So I'm going to give it, let's just look at the 70 pixels at the top. So let's just give it 70 pixels, so image will have its spacing and we'll have our own spacing. Now for this one, you can see the width is 25 pixel. I want to change it to 33 pixel. This one will also be 34 actually, and this one will be pixel, because 33 plus 34 is equal to 100. So this is where we are, and then we'll have to adjust the width. So the width is 1320. So click on our parent container, click on layout and change it to 1320, and now you can see this is how it looks. Once that is done, we can start inserting this thing. Here you can see we have this icon, and then we have this support icon, and then we have this badge icon. So click on this plus, and from here just search for icon, and we want to insert this icon box. Insert this icon box right there, and then we can basically insert our icon. So click plus. Here you can see we have this calendar. So just search for calendar icon, and here you will find many of these calendar icons. So I'll just pick any one of these calendar icons, and this is how it looks. And then it says no charge for the day for 6 days. So I'll just insert this, and I'll remove the description from there. Now if you look at this color, you can see our heading is in the dark color. We want to do the same thing. Click on content, and where it says color, I want to change it to the dark color right there. Under the typography options, I want to change it to 400 right there, and I'll increase the size to 26, so it should look something like this. Once that is done, copy this from here and paste this inside both of these boxes. Now click on this option right here, click on this container, and here you can see we have this support icon. So search for support or headphone, and from here you can just select this headset icon, and then you can just copy this text from here and insert the text. Now this one we have this badge, so I'll just copy the text and paste the text right here, and then in here I'll change it to badge. You can pick any of the badge right here. Alright, so now you can see this is how it looks, and then you can just click on this publish right there, and it will get published. Now we'll have this published. You can basically look at it on the front end, but here you can see when I search for my website URL, this show me this page. We'll have to change it to our home page. For that, go to this dashboard option right here, click on this settings, and then click on this readings. Once you will click on readings, click on a static page. Under the home page, choose home, and then click save changes. Once you will click on save changes, you can click to visit site, and then you can see this is how our home page is looking. We'll have to increase the height of this image. Image height is looking very small, so increase the height to 75%, and then we'll just click publish option right here. And now if we'll go back, if I'll give it a refresh, you can see this is basically how it is looking. So now you understand that how we can create these pages. We have created these 2 sections right there. Once we'll have these sections, then we have this discover the sky blue difference since 1989. In this section, we are going to create these 3 containers. We are not going to make them carousel. Instead, we are going to make them containers. For that, what I want to do is to basically duplicate this right here, and then this time I want to give it a background color. So under the background color, I'll just use our accent color, and under the accent color I want to give it some padding at the top and some padding at the bottom. So the padding at the top, I'll give it 5% at the top and the 5% at the bottom, and then I'll get rid of these icons that we have right here. Alright, so here you can see that we need to have these 1, 2 and 3 of these boxes. So right here you can see we have 3 boxes. So from here, what I wanna do is to insert this heading right there, and after the heading, what I actually want to insert is this text editor right there. So now we have this heading and the text editor, and then we need this kind of one. So I'll basically duplicate this one and we can just call it 1. Now here for this one, you can see it says smarter disputes. It doesn't let me copy, so I'm going to inspect this, and then from here I can basically extract this heading text. So now here you can see it says smarter dispute. I'll copy this and insert this smarter disputes right there, and then for this text right here, I'll just select this bottom text, and there we have this bottom text. I'll copy this bottom text and then I will just insert this bottom text right there. Now for the spacing between these elements right here, you can see it is set to as 10. I'll change it to 0, and then after the 0, what I actually want to do is to go to the advanced option for this one. Under the width option, set it to custom, and for the custom just increase the width, and after that go to the advanced option, scroll down under the background where it says background type, change it to the blue color. Now for this style option, change it to the white color right here, and then where it says advanced, go back to the advanced where it says border radius, change the border radius to 80 pixels. Now we'll basically have to add the padding and we'll have to play around with the padding. On the right side I'm going to give it 20 pixels, and on the left side I'm going to give it 15 pixels, and on the right side we'll have to increase this value. So here you can see this is basically how it looks. We can just add the padding at the top and the bottom. You will have to play around with this value to find the right value for these things. So here you can see this is basically how it looks, and now we have this one. You can go to the style option and then you can increase the size, and once you increase the size, you can then basically play around with these values to adjust the spacing. So let's just increase the width, and now you can see this is how it looks. Now for this spacing under this text right here, I want to give it 10 pixel at the top. So now you can see this is basically how it looks. For this heading right here, I'm also going to give it 10 pixels, and this is basically how it looks. Now for this, I'll select the container and then I'll go to the background type. I'll change that to the white color right here. Now I'll go to this advanced option and I'll give it 20 pixels of the padding from the all 4 sides, and then we can also give it some border radius. So go to border and give it 10 pixels of the border radius. Now we have it here. We can basically duplicate it 2 more times, and then we'll have 3 containers, and then we can get rid of one of these containers. Now you can see we have 3 containers. We need the gap between these containers, so select our parent container, go to the layout, and there you can see under the gap option, I want to give them 20 pixels between the column and 20 pixels between the rows. So now you can see we have these containers looking something like this. This one I want to call it 2, and this one right here I want to call it 3. So now we have 1, 2 and 3 for the second one. So let's just scroll down. Let me just select the text for this quicker pace. So here I'll just copy the text and I'll replace the text right there. And then for this one, I will just copy this text from here and I will paste the text right there under this code. Alright, now we have this third one. So let's just scroll there. I'll select this text from here. It says better value. So I'll just copy this better value from here and I'll paste the better value right here. And then I'll copy this text from here and I'll change the text inside right here. And now you can see we have these 3 boxes looking something like this. Once done, you can then click on this publish button, and then we can just close this navigator right here. Then we have this call to action section, so we need to insert the call to action section, and I'll use the blue color for this call to action section. So I'll choose this column direction. Under the style settings, click on the tiny pencil icon, and then from here choose the primary. Then click on this advanced option, click on this percentage, and then from here on the top I want to give it 5%, and at the bottom I also want to give it 5%. And then for the width we are using 1320 pixels of the width. Once we have it here, then we need a heading, a big heading right here. So we can basically copy this heading from here and paste it right here. I'll copy the text from there and I'll paste the text. Our text is not visible because of the font color, so I'll change the color to the white color right here. Once we have it, then we require this kind of testimonial. So what I'm going to do for that is to copy this from here, and then we can insert it right here. I'll basically copy this entire thing from there, and then I'll insert this entire thing right here. Now where it says style, let's just change the color to the white color. And then once we'll have the white color, we can just increase or reduce the font. So I'm going to make it 26. And then we also need to have the spacing, line height, something like this. If you want, you can use this. Then you can click on this code. You can see it says span. So I'm going to reduce this span right here. We don't actually need the span option. Instead, what we actually need is the line break option. So here under the code, just add BR and it will add the line break right here. Once it will add the line break, from here we can just insert the padding on the left side. So from the left side I can just give it 20 pixels of the padding. So we'll have this big heading here and then small heading right here, and we can just increase the size of big heading to 42 right here. So it should look something like this. Then we have this button that says start now. So I'll just copy our button from here and I'll insert the button right here, and I'll change the text to start now, and you can see this is basically how it looks. In this case, you can see the width is very small, so we can do the same thing. Click on this container, and for this width, let's just change it to 800, and then you can see this is basically how it looks. You can even reduce it to 700 to find a sweet spot, whichever you think will look good. You can play around with this value and you will find your sweet spot. Once that is done, click on this publish button. Now we can scroll down. I actually don't need the pricing plan section right here, but in your case, if you need a pricing plan section, Elementor does have a pricing plan widget. So if you will search for pricing, here you can see you have this pricing table widget right here. You can use this pricing table widget. I'm not going to create the pricing table widget. Then we have this our members get more, no upgrades needed. So we need to insert the same thing in our case. So in order to create this thing, what we actually want to do is to create a table. So for the table, go back to the dashboard of your website right here. So go to the dashboard, go to the plugins option right here, and then from here click on add plugin, and then from here just search for table. And once you will search for the table here, this is the plugin that we are going to use, the table press. So click on this install now button, and once you will click on the install now button, this will get installed. Once installed, you can just click on this activate button right here, and once it will click on activated, from here just click on this skip button right here, and this will give you the option. From here I actually want to cross this out from there, and there you can see no tables found. You should add or import a table, or you can just click on add new table, or you also have this option to add new. So just click on add new, and then we can give it a title. So I want to give it a title of no upgrades needed, and then in here it will ask you about the number of rows and the number of columns. So we have a total of 2 columns right there, and then we have 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 rows. So number of rows are going to be 7, and then number of columns are going to be 2, and then click on add table. And once you will click on add table, this will basically add our table. Now you can cross this, And now here we can just insert this. So here first of all I will copy both of these and I'll insert it right here, and then from here I'll copy this next text and I'll paste the text right there. So in this way you can basically copy the text in the table and paste the text in our table, and then I'll just show you how it looks. Alright, so here you can see I have added this text right here. Under this option you will have further more options. You can go here and play around with these values. Here you can see alternating row colors, so we need to have the alternating row colors. And then we have this print table name. If you want to show the table name, you can also show the table name. And then in here enable visitor features like sorting, search and filtering, pagination, and then the info. We don't need any of these, so I'll disable all of these features right here. Once that is done, you can basically click on this save changes, and once you will click on the save changes, you will have your table ready. Now you can just click on all tables, and here you will have your shortcode. So here you can see it says show shortcode. Copy this shortcode from here, and then you can basically go back, and then from here what you actually want to do is to have this new container. So I'll add this new container right here. Click on advanced, click on percentage, and then add 5% at the top and the 5% at the bottom, and then from here search for short code widget and insert the widget right here and paste the widget. And now here you can see this is basically how our table is looking. Once you have the table in here, you can basically click on this edit option right here, and once you will click on your edit option, you can basically modify the other options as well. You can go here, and here you can see table header. The one is the table header. You can change it to 0 so that we don't have a table header. Alright, let's just insert this heading and the small heading right here, and then this is really easy. What you actually want to do is to copy any of these headings from here, and then you can paste the heading right there and then drag it at the top. Once you will drag this heading at the top, copy this heading from here and paste the heading right here. And then we'll have to change the size. Here you can see it's set as 36, change it to 36 right here, and then we'll have यार ये सारा कुछ रिकॉर्ड हो रहा है ना ताड़ा यार ये कर रहे हैं शोर ही नहीं ਉਹ ਜੋ ਕੁਰਸੀ ਐਵੇਂ ਚੂ 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 ਨਹੀਂ ਹੋ ਰਹੀ ਉਹਦੀ ਕੁਰਸੀ ਉਸ ਤੋਂ ਬਾਅਦ ਤੂੰ ਇਹ ਪਾਣੀ ਐਵੇਂ ਲਾ ਰਿਹਾ So I'll just duplicate this one from here, and then we can basically copy the small heading from here and we can insert this small heading right here. We'll of course have to change this font color, and then I'll change it to 26 pixels right here. Now we'll have to reduce the spacing between this, so I'll adjust it using the margins and I'll give it -10 pixels of the margin. And then I want to align this text in the center, and I also want to align this one in the center as well. And once done, you can just click on this publish option right here. Now let's just see what other sections we have. Here you can see we have this one section right here, so we can just copy this section from here, and then we can insert this section right here, and then we can just change the text. So copy this text from here and paste the text right here, and then copy from here and paste the text right here, and then we'll have to reduce this padding that we have added, and then under the content just reduce this one as well. Now I guess we have some margins at the top, so I'll probably add -10 pixels to adjust the spacing between these items. And here you can see about us, so instead of start now, I'll just change it to about us, and this is going to serve as a call to action section. And then we have this final call to action section right here, which is something that I'm not going to create because we are going to use this one as a call to action. So in this way you can basically create a custom home page using Elementor and Astra Theme. Now we have it here. We can basically look at it. If you go to the front end of the website, here you can see this is basically how it looks. Once that is done, now we can start making it responsive. So click on this tablet devices, and now here you can see this is basically how it looks. we actually want to make it responsive. So click on this main container where it says px, change it to percentage and change it to 90% right here, or you can change it to 95%. Once that is done, click on our container right here, click on percentages, and I want to make it 50% right there, and for this one as well I want to make it 50% as well. So both of them are going to be 50%. Now select our text right here and change the value to 38, and then select this text at the bottom and change the value to 28 right there. So it should look something like this. Then we have this image, you can see the image look like that, and then we have these three icons. Again, select our parent container, click on percentage and select 95%. So everything should be 95%. Click our icon, under the icon option, change the size to 22 or probably 30, just change it to 30, and then under the content, click on this title, it says 26, change it to 20, and then copy this from here and replace the style by clicking here and select paste style. Then we have this, so click on this container, click on percentages and choose 95% right here, and then here you can see it is set to as a row or horizontal, change it to vertical, and once you change it to vertical, select each container and change it to 100%, so it will have 100% of the width. So percentage and 100%, and then again percentage and 100%. Now you can see these numbers are not looking good, so click on the number and where it says custom width, click on custom width and reduce the custom width. So here you can see on 11% it looks fine. I'll just copy this from here, and where it says custom width, I'll change it to percentage and change it to 11%. So this should look something like this. So now you can see we have these things showing up like this. Then we have this call to action section. So under the call to action sections, of course, we'll have to reduce the font sizes. I'll make it 36 and everything else looks fine. We'll just have to adjust the width. So I'll make it 95%. Now for this table section, click on layout, click on percentage and choose 95%, and other than that it looks fine. And do the same thing with this one as well. Click on percentage, choose 95%, and everything else looks fine. Now on the mobile devices, you can see this is how it looks on our mobile devices. Click on our parent container, click on percentage here for the padding, and for the padding I want to give it 10% on the top, and then click on this container under the layout options. It is set to as 100%, change it to 90%. Now we'll have to adjust this font sizes. It is set to as 38, let's change it to 34%, and then it looks fine here, and this one also looks fine. And then we can basically increase the width of this image, so it should look something like this. Now we can adjust the gap between the rows, so I'm going to give it 20 pixels of the gap between these rows, so they should look something like this. Then we have these, so click on this container right here and then change the width to 95%. We can just increase the icon size, so instead of 30 I can make it 40, and then copy this and paste the hairstyles, something like this. Now we have this container, so click on this container, reduce any margins that we have, then go to the layout option and change the width to 90% here because we want to make it 90%. And for this we'll have to increase the size, so let's just make it 20. Let's just try to increase the width, so I guess this looks fine on the 26%. I'll just copy this 26% from here and I'll insert the 26% width right here, so it should look something like this. Then we also need to have some padding at the top and the bottom, so select the parent container. I'm going to have 10% at the top and 10% at the bottom. Now we have this call to action section, click on this, and here you can see it says 100%, change it to 95% or probably 90%. And once you have it in the 90%, we can adjust the font sizes. It says 36%, change it to 32%. And then for this headings, this testimonial right here, I want to change it to 22%. And then for the line height is going to be 1.3%. And then for this button, you can increase the width by clicking on this option right here, and the button will become full width. Now we can also increase the padding at the top and the bottom, so I'm going to give it 10% at the top and 10% at the bottom. We are going to do the same thing here. Under the width option, I'm going to keep it 90% right here. We'll have to reduce the font size to 32%, 32 pixels, I guess it will be 28, and then we have this, and then we have our table showing up here. Then just click on the next container and we'll change the value to 90% right here, and then we'll just adjust the font sizes. Instead of 42, I'll make it 36, and then the font height will go 1.1%, and for this sizes right here, I'll change it to 22, and the line height will go 1.2%. Once done, then we have this button right here. Go to style and click stretch, and then you can see this is how it looks. Click on this parent container, click on advanced, and I'll increase the padding to 10% at the top and 10% at the bottom. Now here, this is basically how it looks. So in this way, you can make your Astra website responsive as well.